I'd gotten a message early that morning that something had happened in Nigeria, and I thought it had to do with my dad. My older brother was in D.C., and we all congregated at his home, waiting for word. Then I got a call from my sister, Aizzah.
Have you heard anything?
No.
Your mother was in an accident.
That was my mother, her stepmother. I wasn't worried because I knew my mom was very strong. I was waiting for word about the extent of her injuries, what they wanted us to do. And Aizzah called me again later.
Have you heard anything?
No.
HOSTOS. Your mom is dead.
Four men pull me by my hair and arms and drag me into a windowless room. I am thrown onto a dirt floor, a stable. The only animals there, the only brutes are those four men. I scream at them to release me, but one man shows me his gun while the others hold me down. For more than an hour, I was raped by those four men of the Mastui tribe. Men with shotguns told my uncle and father to wait and stand outside. I can still see them standing near the door, helplessly, while the men took turns, one after the other. Night and day, I tell you, day and night. Every girl lives in fear of what happened to me. By the time we are 8, we know that a man can push us into a dark place, break into our bodies, destroy our childhoods and our future. Inside our homes, we feel safe. But when we go out, the fear takes hold of us. Day and night. Night and day. It is like a vulture flying just above our heads as we walk or work or play. And when it happens, it is beyond any nightmare.
My mother wasn't in an accident! She had just been assassinated. She was driving to a meeting with the Canadian ambassador. And because of the work of our allies for the democratic movement, this was in '96. My father was still in jail, and my mom had become the voice of the movement. She was driving in the streets when the car that had been tailing her was with soldiers. They overtook, shot her driver, and then shot her in the head. But I don't know if she really knew what was happening because it happened so quickly. She probably thought it was a flat tire or something. And then they killed her.
When they are finished with me, I am thrown outside. My clothes are torn and I'm nearly naked. I lay there on the ground, alone with my shame. My father and uncle help me to my feet and walk home with me, past hundreds of townspeople. No one says a word to me as I go by. They all lower their gaze or stare at me with disgust. Now, I am unclean and dishonored. In the eyes of the tribal elders, my family and the villagers. In that 1 hour on the stable floor, my life has been destroyed.
On the final day of the 90-mile bone-toilet march just outside Derry, on a small narrow road, there is an ambush. 100 men come down the hills on the right hand, holding clubs with nails in them, and others come up the riverside on the left. And the police police block us, front and back, to allow them to come at us. People are running, screaming. Suddenly, I'm in the front, but I mean, all you could do was just keep walking, you know. And then just outside Derry on a narrow road, stones are lobbed down on us, and the police block the street, so we have nowhere to run. I'm screaming as blood is running down my face, and I'm trying to get in the doorway of a shop, and of course it's locked. But the shop assistants are just standing inside, and they are laughing. And they're people from my background, you know. I mean, you'd have to dehumanize any group of people to demean them that way. Suddenly, I feel from the inside this paralyzing sense of powerlessness that comes from humiliation. A couple of men hit me with branches like clubs. When I get home, my neck and shoulders are badly bruised. My family was distressed. But then comes the classic remark.
If you hadn't been there, what would have happened?
I was suddenly an outsider in my own family. That march changed the shape of the rest of my life.
After 9 years of exile, I took the first chance to return to Asia in 1981 with the International Rescue Committee to work in Thai Cambodian camps. With my team, I traveled into the jungle to bring supplies of food and clothing. We reached a refugee camp on the top of a mountain, still run by a Khmer Rouge. The refugees were told to come out outside of the camp hall to collect the supplies we brought them. They are not allowed to speak. They march out in line, dressed in the black pajama the Khmer Rouge insist they wear. Just seeing the Khmer Rouge soldiers in uniform brings back the war. My parents, my friends, all gone. I never said goodbye. It was so hard for me to keep quiet. I want to free these refugees. Now I am raging struggle to continue working in Cambodia, helping its people recover. I know from this moment on, my life is going to change.
For the next few days, I lock myself in my room. My mother brings me food, but no one speaks to me about what had happened, and I speak to no one. I had known about 3 other rapes before mine. One woman went to the police, but they dismissed her case. Another stayed at home and never mentioned it again. And the 3rd woman killed herself. She swallowed a bottle of pesticide right then and died. Is that what I'm supposed to do? I ask myself. In Pakistan, staying alive is considered as more cowardly and shameful than the rape itself. But in my heart, I know that no one in my family really wants me to die, especially my mother. I can see it in her eyes. I can feel it in her touch. That my pain is hers, and that she wants me to go on living. But if I don't commit suicide, what will I do with my life?
All the time in the refugee school, I dreamed to go to school to be a doctor like my father. There is not a lesson of what is a mother, what is a brother. Finally, I am so happy when I hold my first book in the refugee school. It is coming to me from the University of Nebraska!
Notebooks. If one mujahideen kills 4 Russians, how many mujahideen wake up, pray, and then go kill and fight the Russians? What do you think about the Russians? Draw an airplane bombing on your house. Here you see the house is burning, the land is burnt, and the children are fearful from the fire.
$1 million are spent to bring the message of violence into refugee school. There is not a lesson of what